think by the end of the year, titled land will start to become scarce. I think there'll be a sell through of that. I think there'll be a fair bit going on in that space, and I'd expect developers to be selling a lot more untitled stock by the end of the year. October, November, I think we'll see um, the best land sales rates. Certainly in Melbourne, and what I mean by that is sales above 1,000 lots per month. In October and November is what I'd predict, and that'd be some of the best results that we would have seen in 3 years. So, I think that the land sales, and that's the key to housing sales, and that starts to, really pump the market along. I think that'll all really end of the year. It'll start to really just, I'm going to say hum along, but without flying along. It's not going to be back to the 1,700, 2,000 lots a month. I think it'll be half that. But, I certainly think 1,000 lots a month is back on the horizon in the near future.
Yeah, okay.
How are you?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd probably comment there is just to help people understand the landscape here in terms of if you're looking to buy house and land or just a block. We've said it before, we'll say it again. If you can afford to buy now, you will get a better deal today than you will in a month or 2 months from now. Back in December, we said the same thing. And a lot of people don't believe people in our industry because they think we're trying to sell that to them. Obviously, if you buy a house or a block of land, then the industry wins. But there were massive rebates available in December, huge rebates, and some of those are now gone because there's no incentive there for the developer to do it. It was all around the tax, right? So
Yeah.
what I'd say is it still applies where you've got the ability to borrow and the capacity to do so. You shouldn't be waiting because the cuts will come, and it takes you a while to get to site in construction. You're not going to be paying for the house, in a full amount till it's complete, but partially along the way you will, and then the land before that. I guess factoring in that time frame, like it's not a full impact, I suppose. So I think that currently there's still some good land out there. There's titled land, there's untitled land, there's good deals and rebates. I think that builders are going pretty hard and aggressively at offering good promotions, good incentives to build with them. And those offers that are on the table will far outweigh anything of a $100, $200, $300, whatever you save on a mortgage repayment because of a rate cut. So if you can, that's the first point. If you can afford it now, guys, get out there, go and do it because you will absolutely benefit and save a hell of a lot more. The land supply is sort of interesting. I won't profess to know how a developer works strategically, Darren, but if I'm putting myself in their shoes, I think the strategy I'd be taking is I would take incentives off titled land and I'd put incentives on non-titled land, not necessarily today, tomorrow, but soon. And the reason I think that should be logical is because then I can fill my pipeline and make sure I've got forward orders through when there's more people out there wanting to buy, of course. I think the title land will sort itself out. Like it becomes higher in demand throughout the course of this year, and it will dry up titled land. So that's what I mean. It's like it's inevitable that will happen because it's cyclical. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd probably put more incentives on non-titled land, and that will also then probably bring out some of those home buyers, some of the first home buyers who can then go on a savings plan and buy a non-titled block, and then in the next 12 months they can save the right amount working with the right brokers. So I think that's how it can look. And then what will happen, not unfortunately, but makes it a little bit harder, is that we'll enter the ballot systems and all that sort of stuff. That will come. I don't know if it's 2025, but it might be towards the end,
Yeah.
or sometime in 2026 when there's no titled land and just to even get a block, you got to line up around the corner, so to speak.
Yeah, the old camp outs. I don't think they'll happen this year, but I think you're right. They're not far away. There'll be a camp out somewhere. A developer loves a good camp out,
Oh, how's that for urgency? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that's all tracking the right way. What about house pricing from builders, Darren? How's that going
Yeah,
to
it's
go?
an interesting one. This one, I think. I think pricing's really under control now, which is number one. So there's, we've seen that stability of pricing over the last 12 to probably 18 months now. Obviously inflation's getting back to within the target range, and that directly impacts exactly what we're dealing. I'd like to think that I think there'll be discounts in place, and there are now, and offers and whatever that looks like, and however that's bundled up. I think they'll continue throughout the